Hello, everybody. It's the Grease Trap
Oh
with
shit, dude.
me, Minnesota Gary, and Scotty. How's it
Daddy.
going, Scotty?
Pretty good.
What you
Doing pretty
been
well.
doing lately?
Things and stuff with people.
Oh yeah, sure. That's fun. Yeah, I like doing things and stuff myself
I know
from
who
time to
doesn't.
time.
See, what I'm doing right now is I'm going to find the old Grease Trap intro because people always wanted to play it during the Grease Trap. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking find one. I have to go back a little ways. Let's see, what about this one here? This one here looks like the genuine article.
Oh, you found the real deal, huh?
Oh yeah. All right, boom, perfect. All right, guys, I'm gonna do this just so you don't have to hear the complaints. I know I should just be less lazy. Just we'll put it in there, but fuck it, we're lazy here.
Pull out your dicks, get ready to fap. It's time for your favorite show, The Grease Trap. Pull out your dicks, get ready to fap. It's time for your favorite show, Grease Trap.
Hey, look at that. Look at that. The old school intro.
I don't have no complaints. I literally read that in the comments probably about a million times. Like, they should play the old intro. It's like, so now every time I do it, it's like, dude, I'm playing it, so I don't want to hear that shit. Don't want to hear that shit from you motherfuckers. You guys understand me? Glad we understand each other.
Got some news articles.
Oh, do you? Do you?
Some little noteworthy pieces of news. I don't know if you've seen anything about this. You probably won't care as much as I do, but
yeah, I've heard that Hulu's making a Hellraiser movie.
Yeah, and they've gotten rid of a lot of people would look at this and go like, oh, this is gonna suck, female fucking Pinhead, what, but like the supporting material of Hellraiser is a work by Clive Barker called The Hellbound Heart, and this is way closer to the way Pinhead looks as described in that book than Doug Bradley's Pinhead. So I'm happy that they're not trying to do another Doug Bradley impersonation because that never works.
Oh no, definitely.
And it's not a remake. It's like a whole new story or whatever the fuck. They're not. It's more like a reboot, I guess. So I'm like cautiously optimistic about this.
I don't really know why people are like. It's like a thing now in entertainment where people are like worried about like racial choices of actors and gender choices and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I just don't really care. What I care more about is if the movie or show or whatever I'm watching is entertaining.
Yeah, is it good? That's what I care about. And I think that like one of the contentions that those people that you mentioned have is that a lot of times it seems like quality is sacrificed in favor of like a cynical gender or racial choice or whatever.
Yeah, like affirmative action meets Hollywood. So it's like, oh, they're just being cast because of their race. They're just being cast because it's a woman. Or it's just
so you get like a bad unwatchable movie that was clearly just like made to tickle people's diversity, desires and not really made to be a good movie. And I think that is happening. There's definitely a lot of like shit that doesn't really have a great idea behind it, but it's just like, let's put a rainbow cast in this or whatever the fuck. It's happening. Like there's no.
Oh yeah. I mean, Hollywood's a crass business. I mean, like if people, they don't care who they put on the screen as long as the project makes money or in the certain circumstances loses the right amount of money. Like Batgirl was the most recent one for that to happen, where it's like, oh, Warner Brothers just going to use this as a tax write-off, and people were shocked. And it's like, that's not shocking. These studios do that shit all the time. Like if they can come out better off losing money and instead of taking a huge tax hit, they'll do it. They don't give a fuck. They don't care. Like they're not mostly they're really not in the space of funding artistic ventures. They're doing what makes money. That's why you had this homogenization that takes less chances, that's based on existing intellectual property, as opposed to funding like, well, let's fund this. That sounds like an interesting idea. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but the major studios, man, they're interested in hit. They don't want to have even the possibility of a miss. Obviously, it still happens all the time, But really, I'd argue because they've become too formulaic. That's why they have the problem with that,
Right.
as opposed to, but they don't see it that way. They see it as like, what's the sure thing?
Well, this is nothing new for Hollywood either. I mean, if there's a social trend, Hollywood is going to cynically exploit that social trend rather than spend the money and time it would take to find a good story to tell, which, every once in a while you get a great movie.
Of course.
But most movies that are made strictly from financial origins. They're not made because somebody was passionate about this, that, or the other thing. They're made to cash in. And this franchise has been like a real victim of that.
Oh God, yeah.
People loved Pinhead from the original couple Hellraiser movies, and it has been like he's been ridden into the fucking ground.
Oh God, you ain't kidding. I mean, like, to me, where it lost any momentum it had is when like Doug Bradley was like, I'm not doing this shit anymore. And then like even beyond, because I mean, he always had something to his performance as Pinhead. There always was something there. Even the later movies, where it's like they're obviously not as good, but I mean, there's something to the character. There's a passion to the character. But like the ones where they have the other dude, I don't know what the fuck his name is, was like, this is just garbage.
There's actually two different guys that played Pinhead other than Doug. One in that horrible like found footage Hellraiser that was made, and then they recast him again in the most recent Hellraiser movie.
Yeah, I think both those got about 30 minutes in. Like those both hit my 30-minute rule. Like, am I bored to tears? And 30 minutes in, like, yep, that's went off.
Sorry, gotta go. Yeah, I don't know. I have a particular fascination with these.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, talking to you, it's like I know this is definitely, right up your alley. And I mean, so if you're excited, that shows that to me is a good sign, because I know like you've lived in this universe for quite a while, dedicated a lot of time to it. So if you're more pleased with it, then I'm like, that gives me a cautious optimism. But I know if you felt similarly about Dune, but obviously I know you're more disappointed. I mean, obviously I don't think you hated the new Dune movie, but obviously you're more like, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, it was not as good as I thought it would. I didn't. Whatever. I didn't like it as much as I thought I'd like it.
Yeah.
What I found like with the Dune thing too is like in retrospect, I've got a lot of like expectations because of the Lynch Dune. Like that movie catches a lot of shit, but visually it's fucking beautiful and a great, like, it just still holds up today in terms of that sci-fi kind of world that David Lynch created.
I'm an apologist for that Dune. I don't think it's a great I don't think it's a definitive version of Dune, and I do have high hopes for Denis Villeneuve's vision of Dune. I mean, obviously,
I'm definitely going to be seeing the next one. So.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree with you. I think it's underrated for what it achieved, and I think it's look, not everybody's perfect. And did they condense a lot of the story and cut out a lot of critical shit? Like, yes, of course. I mean, definitely the plot of Lynch's Dune definitely suffers in that respect, but it's the source material is so thick, and I don't really think that. I think they want to tell the broad tale, and I think it's hard to. And I think that's really even what the other Dune struggled to do. It's hard to take all that material, and it's like it feels like almost like the adaptations I've seen, like it takes the first part of the book a lot more seriously than the other parts of the book. As far as the time. But obviously, because Denis is split up into two parts, I really hope that kind of remedies that. But I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell, obviously.
We'll see for sure. I mean, I'm excited to see it one way or the other.
Oh yeah,
there are definitely a lot of cool things about it, but a lot of the action scenes in it struck me as like it's kind of, I don't know, blasé, like expected kind of action scenes in a modern movie or video game rather than having their own kind of thing like the Lynch Dune does. So it's a little disappointed in how some of the CGI was done as well.
Yeah,
or how much CG was used. Was that?
Do you know when the new Hellraiser movie is coming out?
Yeah, October 22.
Sweet.
So next month. This will be on Hulu. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be watching it, and it may trigger me to write yet another Hellraiser long retrospective.
I already know it's going to happen, dude. Yeah. When in doubt, Pinhead.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with Pinhead. Let's see what else I got here. Oh, this is fun.
Oh, I love this.
This is Prince Andrew, who let's catch people up that may not read the news. The Queen died. Prince Andrew is one of her children who was kind of caught up in the Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell child sex trafficking shit. Because he was like a big, friend of theirs, stayed with him a bunch of times.
Images of people who are sex trafficked. There's images with Prince Andrew.
Right. And he gave this really inadvisable interview where it's just like, it's horrible. It makes him look fucking horrible.
Oh my God. Do you remember how he was just like he was like the definition of like a guilty, like it's, if you've seen a movie where someone's being interrogated, it's like the sweat, the presence, like just the way they're talking, like he looks like guilty as fucking sin. Let's put it that way.
And let me see if I can get this full screen here.
And a lot of things I've read about this connection is that basically the only person in this family that was super fond of him was his mom. So
right.
It's probably going to be a rough go for him, as much as the queen kind of like obviously overlooked his many personal failings.
You'll notice here, like among the royal family, he's the only one that's not in military garb. Like the other princes and shit all are wearing military style shit. He's in a normal kind of suit with his medals pinned to his chest because he's in this weird position where he's like not a working royal.
Right.
Because of this scandal, he stepped down out of all his official state positions or whatever. So just weird. But anyway, yeah, he got heckled at the Queen's funeral procession in Scotland. So let's.
Oh, no volume.
You're a sick old man, Andrew. Andrew, you're a sick old man.
Oh, you might not have shared the volume because I couldn't hear anything.
Son of a bitch. Did that happen again? I hate this shit.
I've done, dude, that's the only thing that sucks about StreamYard is the tiny share audio thing. It's like, this big.
I don't know when I'm going to fucking, yeah, here we go. Let's see. God save the king. You're a sick old man.
You're a sick old man.
Andrew, you're a sick old man. You're a sick old man, Andrew.
Knowing the United Kingdom, this guy's probably broken 17 laws that go back at 700 years or some shit from what he's done here.
Probably end up in the stocks or something.
Yeah, like seriously, I'm sure there's some fucking thing of like you could not, if during a state funeral or like or during a mourning period, you could not be offensive in public. 10 lashings and 10 shillings.
Man, you're a sick old man, Andrew. Andrew.
Oh, I fucking love the video. Yeah, dude, they literally arrest this dude too.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This dude got arrested.
What the fuck, man? They're really gonna put him in the gibbets, huh?
I don't know about that, but I know
they're gonna break him on the wheel. They're gonna draw and quarter him in the fucking public square for the crime of insulting his royal personhood at the funeral procession of his mother, the Queen. You are sentenced to be broken upon the wheel. Ah! Man, thank goodness. And then I found this. This is going to be a fucking nightmare, I think.
Oh, no.
It's funny we were talking about, diversity decisions that are made for cynical reasons. I'm going to call it right now. There's going to be a huge contingent of people that hate this. And there's going to be a contingent of people that makes it seem like that every criticism that people have of this movie is racist because they're making a black Ariel.
Right.
So that should be fun.
Yeah, that's like the thorny territory with this stuff is like when someone turns out a shit movie, but they try to use the diversity of the cast as a means to say, no, it was actually good. It's like, oh, I mean, no, it doesn't matter who's involved in the movie. If a movie sucks, it sucks.
I mean, look, in a vacuum, I'm glad that people of diverse racial backgrounds are getting roles in movies and shit. Overall, even if the movies are shitty or good, it doesn't really matter. It's representation, which is good. Sure, but it is not an excuse for a shitty, unwatchable film.
No.
It's not an excuse for a film that doesn't do justice to the source material, a remake, a reboot. Like those, it doesn't exempt it from criticism because it's doing a good thing.
No,
and
of course
I have a feeling that there's going to be a contingent, like there's going to be a large counter movement of people for this movie that say that everybody that hated it was a racist. But let's watch this Little Mermaid teaser trailer that recently came out.
Oh, blue ocean. Don't like it.
Yeah, we might have to be careful with this because
Yeah, this is definitely copyrighted music.
in addition to like that's another stupid thing that movie studios have started doing. They'd rather make the little paltry amounts of fucking ad revenue that people get when showing their trailers than get the free advertising of people spreading their trailers around everywhere.
And you know what sucks too? It's like they'll copyright any part of it too. It's like you show enough of the clips, it's like, okay, we'll do that. If that's not enough and you mute it, or you play the music, oh, that's our song.
Yeah,
They're just trying to they're trying to get the money from it. You're right. It's 100% of them making money.
yeah, we'll just turn it down. We'll save ourselves the grief.
Yeah, I think it's like part of your world is what they're playing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. So not too much. Obviously showing the shipwreck and stuff like that.
I mean, it looks like the cartoon's shipwreck looked inside.
I mean, most of it still is CGI. So I mean,
Oh yeah, this is all 100% CG.
Okay.
I just don't know why they're doing this.
Yeah, I don't know why they're teasing like they don't want to show Ariel. That's kind of weird. All right, now they finally do at the end.
Oh God.
I'm just not a fan of these live action remakes, to be honest with you. I don't care who they cast in it. I don't care
Yeah,
what it's about. I just don't know. Like, I hate that. It's like we were talking about before with these properties where it's like they want the surefire thing. It's like, we'll
Right.
give this generation their Little Mermaid. We'll give this generation their Lion King. It's like, yeah, go ahead and make that movie. Don't go ahead and just make the same fucking movie.
Well, it's become.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, like to me, it's become an excuse for them to just not show any creativity at all.
Oh, 100%.
Like the reason that they're able to do all these remakes is that Disney in the very recent past was a company that was known for being like a factory, constantly churning out new ideas that captured the hearts and minds of America and people worldwide, finding these little stories and bringing them to life in this wonderful, beautiful, trademark, sumptuous animation style that was uniquely American and just uniquely beautiful and painstakingly done. That's what they were known for. They were known for as a company that created great pieces of cultural art. And now, rather than coming up with those ideas, it's clear that Disney is headless when it comes to creativity.
Oh my God, completely.
There's nobody there that's willing to risk it on a new property. Why do that when you can just ring the cash register on the fucking Little Mermaid again?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I remember I was talking to Amelia about this Little Mermaid remake, and I was like, have they redone Snow White? And she was like, I don't think so. And then she went and looked, and next year,
yep,
Snow White's coming out with Gal Gadot playing the evil queen, I guess. So we'll see how that turns out.
Why not, dude? It's too easy. It's too easy because you have name recognition. And it becomes a cash in. It becomes so easy to make something that has a built-in part of your brand. And it's like they just saw like, oh my God, we have all these properties. So instead of like, you're right, investing anything new or any new ideas, let's do this. Anything new that Disney does seem to do, it just seems to be just like you said, it's brain dead. There's nothing to it. And it's like,
Right.
I just don't understand how a company can have that amount of money, that amount of access to talent, and they just churn out shit. And it's like, for what? Like I understand formulaic stuff is part of entertainment. There's certain formulas that companies are going to follow. That's fine. There's nothing even wrong with that. But for that to be the end all and be all of what you have to offer, that is a serious problem. Someone asked here, what do you think of 90s Disney? Better than this.
I mean, yeah, dude, a lot of great movies came out in the 90s. Fucking Hunchback of Notre Dame, Lion King.
I don't know what it was, man.
I
It's
think
like
The Little Mermaid came out in like 90 or 91. I mean,
I think that was the 80s. If I'm
was it?
Yeah, I think it was the late 80s, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe even earlier. Well, dude, I don't know what it was, dude. It's like when they went away from 2D animation, like I really felt like the company did lose something. So it's coming up with the new movie Little Mermaid original. Yeah, we're talking about the original. 19 you're right. You're right on the money, but you're just 1 year off. 1989.
Got it. So yeah.
So I mean, you dude, man, well, at least you were the target demographic for that movie. You were 9.
Yeah, I mean, I was the target demographic for a lot of their movies. I mean, they probably wanted kids between 6 and 12 or whatever is probably their hottest demographic. And like, I was 6 in 1986, and I would have been 12 by 1992. And so yeah, I mean, I was definitely, you know, marketed to pretty heavily by these movies, but they're good. Like they still hold up visually because they were so painstakingly made and animated in that trademark kind of Disney style. They definitely started leaning more on CGI and shit in the 90s. It started, the computer generated backgrounds and layering and stuff started showing up in Disney movies in the 90s.
I hate it, dude. I hate I hate that direction. I'm not saying I'm like even against that animation style. I mean, I think it's been used well a number of times, but I think at the same time, just completely abandon 2D animation when so many of those have held up for generations. Just say,
It's
let's
like a
just get rid
dead
of
art
this.
now. I mean, a lot of the people that created some of them, you know, these iconic things, they're dead now, and there's no big animation houses anymore. All of that has moved to computers and shit, and so there's probably just a dearth of people that could even do the
Oh, I'm
work that would be
sure.
required to make one of these hand animated movies.
Oh, it'd be a huge undertaking. But dude, if they can do like stop motion stuff, that stuff's crazy too. I mean, if you can do
Yeah,
anything like that, I'm pretty sure it could be done. I mean, there's got to be a way to do it, and I understand like it's probably more labor intensive. I mean, a lot of these movies they're sinking hundreds of millions of dollars into marketing and shit, dude. So what really, in my opinion, what it is trying to sell you for the most part a dog turd and put $100 million and convince you it's good. Oh, it's good, it's good, it's good. Buy our influencers, buy reviewers. It's like it seems like that was lost because it's like we could just market it to people and get them to like it. It's like that I don't know. It
there's
almost
this
seems like a
new
backwards approach to me.
there's this new thing that I hear too that always bothers me. When one of these movies comes out, they're like, "Oh, this generation gets their Star Wars." Or this generation gets The Little Mermaid now, or The Lion King, or whatever the fuck it is. And I'm like, wait a minute. Why doesn't this generation get new ideas like we did? So they have their own cool fucking shit to be nostalgic about. Like Star Wars wasn't the original trilogy anyway, wasn't based on fucking like a pre-existing Star Wars property from the fucking 50s. It wasn't like something that was meant to like attract the nostalgia of my parents and also appeal to me with updated visuals. It was its own thing, its own story. Of course, it had like influences and shit in cinema, but it wasn't a remake. It was a new thing. Like my generation got that,
I know.
and my generation got Aladdin and The Lion King and all of these great, well-remembered
Hercules.
Disney
Yeah,
films.
a ton of them, dude. There's a ton of Disney movies that came out when I was a kid. Like
Tons of landmark sci-fi. Like my generation got Alien and Aliens. My generation got, you know, the first couple of Die Hard films, Predator, Karate Kid, you know, all these great, well-remembered properties. All of those things were new. They were new, fresh ideas that Hollywood took a chance on, spent a lot of fucking money and talent to make look and sound great. And they're great movies and they're well remembered because of that. Why isn't this next generation getting their own ideas?
I don't
You
know.
know what I mean? Their
No, I
own
agree
new
with you.
properties.
Yeah, like I look back and it's like I feel like, man, I had it really great when it came to entertainment. I really do. Like, because I mean, like, obviously I was born after you, but like I feel like there was new shit, and I feel like I had all this other stuff to go back to. Like I had all these generations of cool shit, and then I had the stuff that was coming out at that time. But it's like as these companies have gotten smaller and smaller and more homogenized, I really think a lot of the stuff too that we take for granted was that there's a lot more independent film being made. You know, there was people that obviously they had people who were film financiers and stuff, but they worked on these smaller budget movies because it wasn't so dependent on we have to have this person, we have to have this thing, we have to have that. It's like now they want all these, they want to check all the boxes. We have big stars, we have big budget, we have big CGI. We have, it's like all these movies that were made back in the 80s we're talking about didn't even have anything computer generated in them, not a fucking single frame. It was practical effects, so there was nothing at all.
Yeah,
And it was like
sure.
there's like this over dependency on all the razzle dazzle instead of the actual movie. And it's like I think that seems to have been lost along the way. It's like even you're right, even the marketing for this shit, they want the controversy. They want some people to go, "Oh my god, why does Ariel look like this?" They want some people to go, "It's good the Ariel looks like this." Because they just want people talking about the fucking project. It's all about the marketing now. It doesn't. It's like, where's the soul of this fucking movie?
It's like they're trying to double dip by making stuff that's just nostalgic for 80s and 90s kids, but also brand new and socially forward thinking for the new generation. And, you know, which is basically trying to please everybody. That's your entire movie audience right there. Kids and their parents right now are the people that go to the movies.
What's that saying? You try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one.
Yeah, exactly. And that seems to be what's happening because like I'm not all, I guess, but most of these remakes that I've seen, I can't really think of one that I've liked, but most of them are just like demonstrably inferior to the product that they're remaking. And that to me should be that should never happen. What is the point of remaking something if you're not going to at least match it or top it?
I can give you one that pops into my mind all the time. If this ever gets brought up immediately, if the sequel, if the remake gets brought up, I'm just like, I don't want to talk about it. Well, it's actually two: Total Recall and Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah,
those are two. It's like, no, I mean, like, look, those other movies are okay. I'm not saying like, oh my god, I just can't like the Total Recall they made like, and actually, I would say they actually took some different. They went in a different direction. They took some different chances, but just overall, it's like this doesn't hold up to the '90s version. It's not even fucking close. And Conan's
like
not
if
even
you're
in
not
the same
even
ballpark.
gonna if you're not gonna attempt, like I can just tell you from what we just saw that I am not going to be anywhere near as impressed with the visuals in this new Little Mermaid movie as I was with the beautiful animated visuals of the original. They're just not going to be as in there. It looks like a rote CGI flick.
Oh, and I know.
So it's like,
sleep.
What are you gonna do? Yeah, The Thing got a fucking horrible remake. Judge Dredd is actually a good example of one that.
Yeah, that they actually the Stallone version. Look, it's a guilty pleasure of mine, but the Carl Urban killed it as Dredd.
Yeah, it's a terrible movie. Yeah. But yeah, Carl Urban was definitely the canonical Dredd in my mind because that was a movie that actually took the like violence and grittiness of the comic book and ran.
It was a movie that knew what it was. It set itself where it wasn't too big, where they could do it. They could do a lot on sound stages and make it into like this high rise, this fucking tenement building where you have to get to the top, and it's like. It's so easy to understand that, but then all the nuance also involved in that, and like right, the grittiness and the fact that he really played Dredd like how like I felt like Dredd should have been played. You know, it's like he really had, but he was one dimensional in some respects, but also a deeper character than you really at first glance would think. It's like, oh, he's just a hard ass. He's like this, but then his entire struggle through that building is just so profound. And the fact, of course, and what do they do with that, Paul? They have a fucking perfect thing and they don't, oh, no, we can't, there's no interest in a sequel. It's like, oh my God.
They don't make a sequel to it. Yeah. It's ridiculous, dude. It's just fucking like the people that are in charge in Hollywood, for the most part, don't know what the fuck they're doing. Well, they do. They know how to rake in fucking ad dollars and ad revenue. Let me disagree with you here. Over fist.
Disney are Ferengi. No, they're not. The Ferengi want to give their customers what they want, so they keep coming back and giving them more money.
Right.
Like watch Deep Space Nine. Those Ferengis are fucking like, what do you want? I like, you know, it's like they're hearing the Latinum in the air. Oh, Disney's like, shut up and eat your gruel, dude. Disney's like, here you go. You like this, don't you? Oh, you don't like it? Well, you're a piece of shit. You know, it's like, oh, great.
Yeah. I don't know. You know, I'm starting to feel like an old man ranting about it because there's well, good movies being made.
Oh yeah, I acknowledge that. I mean, like, look, we're not saying that I'm not saying cinema is dead. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that like the super mainstream shit is what's so disappointing. That's what I'm saying.
We need, like, I'm waiting for a time where the mainstream and high art are mingled like they were in the 80s and 90s and in other eras of film. the golden age of the 30s and the 40s and shit, like or the silver age. That those types of like inspired works of art kind of mingling with the public, the mass public consciousness. That's fun.
And there's never been a better time to do this kind of stuff. That's the crazy thing to me. Like, really, if you think about it, back in the day when you needed everything to be real, in that sense, like it was like, okay, if we're gonna do this scene where there's gonna be a battle, you need all these extras. You need to have people in costume. It's like there was so much more involved in film production. You have to buy enough film. I mean, you're talking about you have to buy 35 millimeter film. You don't need to do that anymore. All these things have changed. The game has completely changed in that time period.
Yeah.
It's like audio. Like I think we talked about, like it's like how audio is shit now. It's like in movies where it's like you gotta watch a movie with fucking subtitles unless you go see it in a movie theater. It's playing in fucking IMAX with THX certified sound because the sound dubbing in some of these movies is like it's like what this guy fucking say? Is everyone Tom Hardy now? Like what the fuck is this?
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of that. A lot of like just basic shit. Like having a good audio mix is absent from sometimes these huge fucking AAA movies.
What about I don't know how you take a soulless movie, a soulless cash in, and make it more soulless, but they did it.
Yeah, it's true. Like, despite being a fucking total corporate cash in, the original Space Jam is at least well remembered. I don't think the new Space Jam will be well remembered by anybody.
No. Oh my god, dude, that's like a nightmare. See, and even talking about like, oh, that's this generation's this. It's like that's like Hollywood conditioning right there. It's like, look, you're not gonna get anything new, but you get your generation's version of it. Oh, what's in it? CGI spectacle. It's like, fuck out of here,
dude. One thing that bugs me in movies, you know how telegraphed the sudden car accident is now. I know, if I've never seen a movie before, I can tell you, like, oh, there's a car accident. They're about to get hit. They're about to get broadsided by a car. There's a certain shot that's used in every one of them where it's like from the passenger's perspective, looking through the driver's window.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you start seeing that fucking perspective and you immediately know, like, oh, yep, they're about to get hit by a fucking car.
100%. Yeah. Like, yeah, it's like they're in the car, but it's kind of like a wide shot. And then you kind of see like, oh shit, something's about to happen. And then it's like, then they might do a slow-mo 360 pan and tilt, like, oh, look at the accident as it goes. Or if like the person's like, or maybe like their head will be ringing. So it's like, oh, what's going on? It's like, oh.
Yeah, I'm just sick to death of
it's formulaic, it's just screenwriting. You have a lot of people that basically follow like oh, okay, like me and TJ have talked about this. We were talking about the other time, like actually when I was down there a few days ago, we were talking about how like they literally have these milestones in screenwriting where it's like, okay, introduce the character. Now the character's gonna have some quirk, like I love butterflies or something because I'm a unique character. It's shit like that. It's shit like you're saying, where it's like you just see it coming a mile away, and it's like, here's a movie that this isn't like a car wreck, but kind of involving a car that really, I think, subverted your expectations. Was the movie Hereditary, where the kid sticks her head out the window, right, and then it's like boom, and you're like, oh my fucking god.
Yeah, nobody saw that coming. And every one of those other movies, those other scenes that I was talking about, they're trying to shock you, but you've seen so many movies that have used this exact same trick. Whereas, yeah, that was a good example of how you could do something like that totally unexpected. That's how you make something like that happen. You make one of those moments happen.
Yeah, keep people guessing, and it's like, you're right. A lot of times in film that isn't present now. It's almost like they want people to know because there's like this comfort, there's like this comfort zone. I think people have kind of gotten with entertainment now because they've been conditioned to it, where it's like, I want to know it's good. I don't want to be surprised. I think that's what kind of feeds into that, is if you don't want to be surprised, then they don't want to surprise you, then here you go. It's like, it's like you're almost always, it's like if you played baseball or football and every play has to be a touchdown or a home run, it's like, it's not going to be. Not every project's going to fucking pan out to that degree where it becomes a massive franchise. Like, that's another thing. It's like there's like this grand scheme where it's like, if something is new and it does good, it's like, oh my god, what's about the expanded universe? And it's like, oh my fucking god, nothing can stand alone anymore. Nothing can stand alone. It has to be a fucking franchise or have 10 spinoffs or a TV series or this thing or that thing. It's like, do you motherfuckers, is it possible just to make a movie, have it be good, and that be the end of it? Is that possible at this point?
Dude, you know another area that's had like a huge decrease in fucking quality for the most part. Like there are some movies that still have
I
good
think you're gonna
like
say video games.
soundtracks.
Oh my god, dude, you're 100% right. Oh,
When is the last time that something came out that had a really memorable, catchy main theme? You know what I mean? Because I can think of like
that I can think of.
dozens of them from the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. You know, dun 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 dun, dun, Star Wars. Had multiple themes
The
that were
last
catchy and
soundtrack
shit.
that I really gravitated towards was, I don't even really like the movie, but it's Tron. It's like Tron Legacy. It's a Daft Punk soundtrack. I
Yeah,
like
I
that.
mean the fucking what you call it, Blade Runner 2049 had a
That had a
great
good
like
one, yeah.
synth wave kind of soundtrack to it. It's not super recent, but I remember really liking the soundtrack to The Social Network. I mean, they're still happening, but it's just like these big action movies and big action properties, these big budget blockbuster films used to come accompanied with a carefully written main theme and a score that was cohesive throughout the films, and that is just like gone to absolute shit now. I was
Someone said
watching
Lord of the
that.
Rings, Howard Shore's. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but see, there's a difference. It's like there was consideration put in that. It's like soundtracks now, or it's almost like let's go to. I feel like the studio should like let's go to Epidemic Sound and fucking throw in a soundtrack.
I think one of the reasons is because there's not a lot of money to be made in selling the soundtrack anymore.
Yep.
Because of just how the internet works. It's going to be ripped and online for free on YouTube immediately. You get a little ad revenue off of it, but why put too much fucking care and quality into it if that's all it's going to be? It's
Yeah, or
just
call up
little-
Danny Elfman or something.
Yeah.
Like let's call up like the 5 goddamn composers that Hollywood knows.
It's
get
just
them on
I mean, Crash has got there's a lot of great fucking I was watching that Elvis movie that recently came out. It hit
Oh, yeah, I've seen it.
HBO or whatever, and I don't know that I didn't really like, especially the beginning parts of that movie. There are just some things, and this is just like, it's a Baz Luhrmann movie, so he's going to do this, but it was just like they put like modern rap songs in it, and I was just like, what are you doing, man? That just like, to me, that just destroys the atmosphere of a movie. If you're going to do a movie about, going back in time and looking at the life of Elvis in the late 40s, early 50s or something, don't be playing like Doja Cat and all this modern hip hop, modern trap shit. Yeah. Like there's so much music that came out of that time that could provide the sonic backdrop from this. It's not going to rip me back to letting me know that I'm watching some spun up fucking Zoomer Elvis pick. Like I want to watch, you know what I mean? I don't know. It just like that to me was like that's like a layup of a movie to have a great soundtrack.
Oh yeah, the time
and
it's Elvis.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, dude. You don't have to fucking it's not a fucking far stretch to be like, hey, we're making a biopic of Elvis. Shouldn't a lot of his songs like easily be available to be used for it? And even the ones that we're not going to use, like there's plenty of great artists from the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Yeah, I mean, that whole era is just filled with great songs, great, but it just, I don't know. It was just terrible.
Someone said, heard of the live action Pinocchio? It's getting really bad ratings because it's brain dead. Guillermo del Toro is actually making a Pinocchio, which I'd probably, I mean, look, I haven't seen it, but I'd probably recommend it 1,000% more than the Disney monstrosity.
Yeah, I mean, Pinocchio, especially its original form, it's like a horror film,
Oh, like, God, yeah.
It's going to be like, Guillermo's going to make like a really dark kind of gothic tale of it, which is what it is. But yeah, this live action fucking, let's take the original Pinocchio, that childlike energy, and try and translate it to a fucking modern film. It's not going to, like, I haven't seen much of it, but that's one of the things, like, if I see something that just like offends me that much,
yeah, you don't seek it out.
Yeah, I don't go watch the fucking thing,
Yeah, I think that's a difference. I think a lot of people go out of their way when they see something is bad because they're like, I want to bitch about this, which I understand too. I mean, I've definitely done that, but at the same time, I'd rather just be impressed with something that kind of subverts my expectations or makes me think about the film long after I've watched it. It opens a discussion in my mind, makes me think of a concept or a place or a thing I never maybe would have thought about that way or at all. You know, I like when a movie's a catalyst for some other experience, and that's to me is the difference between like a truly great film and just your run of the mill shit. Like you're run of the mill, like because plenty of movies I just watch for entertainment value, but sometimes I want to go a little bit deeper than that. I just don't feel like a lot of stuff being made really scratches that itch. I feel like it's good for what it is, and then it's like, "Roop, roop,"
There's just such a fucking dearth of new characters, new franchises, new blockbuster type movies with new ideas. Like I watched another movie recently, Moonfall.
Okay, I've heard of that. How was it?
It was pretty bad.
It looked it.
It was better than 2012.
Oh, okay.
So
well.
I'll give it that. It was like more
Yeah.
watchable, but it was bad. And it was just like they're basically like that genre of movie, the apocalyptic scenario genre has basically been remaking Armageddon since that movie came out. You know what I mean? It's
You're right.
all the same tropes. There's a scientist that's a little wacky that nobody believes, that sees that the moon is coming out of orbit before anybody else does, and nobody believes him, and he's scoffed at and laughed at and kicked out of the scientific community and blah, blah, blah. But then he turns out to be right. He turns out to play an integral role in saving the world. I could be describing any number of these.
Oh, God,
movies.
yeah.
But that one, I was describing Moonfall. So it's the same fucking story. And zombie movies have started to become real cash-in-y, you know what movie I think that they're trying to remake with zombie movies, interestingly enough? All of the new zombie movies that come out feel like bootleg 23 days later to me.
Oh,
or 28
God,
days
dude.
later.
Brilliant movie. I mean, I love 23 Days Later.
Great movie that was like notable because it really reinvented what we thought about zombies. And it had its own visual style and was, just a great fucking story, very bleak. And now it's like every zombie movie is trying to like evoke that same atmosphere with the fast zombies and the, ragtag group of people just trying to survive out in, what used to be a city and blah, 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 blah. It's the same shit. There's nothing creative going on. Like, if you were to ask a Zoomer right now, like, who are the big characters that you think your generation owns? 90% of the characters, like movie characters that they would name, were characters that were established in the latter half of the 20th century. You know what I mean?
Dude, 100%.
It's going to be the Skywalkers. It's going to be fucking this Tony Stark. They're going to say shit like that. And it's just like Tony Stark I think he was in the 50s when Iron Man came out. You know what I mean? Every one of your characters is a rebooted version of something that came from the generations before you.
Yeah, I hate to break it to you guys, but they were like, when I was a kid, they were animating Tony Stark and Spider-Man and all that shit. Like the 90s was like, they didn't have the budget for those big films and like the technology and that wasn't quite there. The writing was on the wall. If you really look back at it, like those comic books were starting to be adapted into like television shows, like animated shows. It was like, so it kind of like got the public interested in that. There wasn't necessarily the comic book going public. They were reading these comics every month. It kind of got this connection. But I mean, dude, I remember as a kid, Marvel was a joke. Dude, Marvel was a fucking joke. It was like, you can buy their stock for nothing.
Oh, yeah. And
like Marvel's going to be bankrupt. Marvel this. And I was like, it was not really doing well.
They saved themselves with video games, card games. Like when they started to diversify away from just trying to sell fucking comics, that's what saved Marvel.
Yeah, ultimately it made it $1 billion acquisition for Disney. But I mean, oh my God, Disney got the better end of that deal.
Yeah.
I mean, they've made hundreds of billions of dollars off that property. So it's like whatever they made.
Mean, Marvel did luck out too, because they like who would have known that the paradigm would come to like, let's look at all different mediums of visual art and find already established storylines and characters so that we can remake those things into, movies that get worse and worse.
Right.
And so here's this, almost bust out, like you said, in the 90s comic company that's just basically sitting on 50 years worth of backstory.
Yeah, IP. I mean, they really
character,
they
and they own it all.
IP.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah. And then just to turn it into what it is now. But we've seen that throughout entertainment because, it's like when I was doing the like evil corporations, I didn't get to this one because it's just time constraints, but it was Blizzard. It was just how all these companies have just been bought out. They're,
Well,
they're fucking. When I was a kid, Blizzard was a scrappy company that made a couple fucking games.
Blizzard's not even Blizzard anymore. It's
Yeah.
Activision now. It's a sub studio in Activision, and ultimately what
Now
they
owned
do
by
and what they
Microsoft.
yeah. So it's, you know what I mean? It's like that's so true. Blizzard was one of those game companies that if you heard they were making a new game, you went and got it.
Fuck, oh my god, yeah, dude. After they made Warcraft and Warcraft 2, and I remember I was like, Blizzard made a game called Diablo. It was like, I have to have this game. They made Diablo 2. I was like, I have to have this game. You know,
Yep.
StarCraft. It's like every time they put a fucking title out, I was rushing to get it. A lot of these companies are the same way. Like all these franchises, you're right. They go back to the shit in the 80s and 90s where it's like, oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
this is the future of shit. Like this is the future of entertainment for a lot of people. Cause a lot of people have migrated towards video games. Like video games are probably bigger than the movie industry as far as total dollars spent on it by a long shot. But it's
The
just
only
more and
thing
more
that
homogenized.
the only thing that makes me feel good about this is because of the quality of these movies that are coming out. There's no way they're going to be able to milk fucking, you know, like after the Zoomers are grown up and in their 40s and shit. They're children. They're not, because the Zoomers themselves aren't going to be interested in seeing a remake of a movie that they don't remember being all that fucking good. You know, so eventually there's going to have to be some kind of sea change, and maybe they'll just start at like having AI write everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like humans have not heard this in a while, dude. I'll tell you what, man. I hope so. Everything I've read about superhero movies is that people are finally getting fatigue of them. I've heard that several times. I hope it's actually true though. I really do.
Yep.
It's not that I don't think that superhero movies shouldn't be made. I just don't want them to be the only thing being made. That's where I draw the line. It's like,
Well, it's been like 20 fucking years. It's hard to think of it that way, but it's been about fucking 2 decades that superhero movies, when it comes to blockbuster films, have pretty much dominated every year.
yeah, for the most part, yeah, like 95% of the top movies are going to be in that genre.
And you know, it's not unprecedented. Like, you know, there are different genres of movies, different styles of movies that were popular. You know, the most popular type of movie for 20 or 30 years in the past, Westerns, dominated for, you know, at least a decade, if not more.
Oh yeah,
You know, so
huge.
it really, like, that's what the Avengers is. It's the new Western, and eventually people are going to get tired of looking at Westerns, and there's going to be a new thing to cash in on. What it will be, who the fuck knows?
Well, it's fantasy for a little while. Lord of the Rings and kind of ensured we got a bunch of fantasy films, which I was fine with. But
Yeah, it's one of my favorite genres, and it's really underrepresented in movies nowadays. I mean, like, you know, there were so many classic fantasy movies during our childhood. The Conan films, Legend is another one that I always go back to. That's just a fucking amazing one. Even like
Neverending Story.
yeah, Neverending Story. Even like low budget ones like Krull were really good. And there were tons of them, man, because everybody wanted fantasy movies. And
Yeah, dude, of course. They like
now,
dude, the He-Man universe is still popular nowadays, and it's like I don't know how people like you can't create the new franchises these people are even wanting without this creativity. So if there's a dearth of creativity, it's just gonna get worse as time goes on because you're gonna like eventually you're gonna be tapped on all those properties, or you're just gonna go do it again. It's like, oh, let's just remake the Harry Potter movies or something. Let's go remake this crap. It's like, oh man, are we really at that point? We're gonna remake the remake, and it's like, I don't know. Oh, dude, that's what I dread the most. Is like 20 years from now, the entertainment people are gonna be getting them. It's like they're doing a remake of the remake that no one has nostalgia for. It's like, come the fuck on, guys.
well, that's why I'm saying they're gonna have to come up with some new shit at that point. And maybe it's just they end up reaching back further to make new what was old again. You know what I mean? Which I'd like almost prefer that. I'd prefer, instead of seeing everything that's like literally from my childhood remade and ruined, I'd rather they go back and ruin some old 50s and 60s and 70s movies. You know what I mean? Like, not that they haven't. They've remade a lot of that shit, like Starsky and Hutch and fucking. So that's a thing. But yeah, I don't know.
I want to see some. I got a couple things I pulled. I want to show people. So I pulled this poll because this is in your neck of the woods, dude.
Oh, cool.
Let's see here. This is a high school surveillance video shows former Fresno principal shoving student.
Damn.
Now, dude, I don't know where else you could be in this position and shove a kid like this and not go to jail. But hey, I guess be a principal. I mean, eventually I think he was charged with some shit, but this is bizarre. Like this is like Paul, I know you worked in the school system there. Maybe not in this one, but you told me these people are generally rage beasts, and I completely believe you after saying this.
Yeah, like in my experience, most principals, not all, but most principals have anger issues. Like they're very, very angsty type A personalities that get real mad and like to lecture and wag their finger at people. I don't think it usually goes to this point, but
No,
it doesn't shock me at all that it happened. I'll tell you that much.
especially on video. So I guess we'll give you the warning too. This video includes images and or audio some viewers may find upsetting or disturbing. So if you don't want to see a kid get shoved, don't watch this. And he's autistic, by the way, too. just to make it
well, that changes. That's a horse of a different color.
Yeah, shove the little bastard. All right, so it says surveillance video shows an incident where a former elementary school principal shoved a 9-year-old special needs boy. That's what you always want to do. Your special needs. Let me do something special.
I mean, look, dude, they gotta be toughened up somehow, man. Like, I think we need to have a national holiday, National Shove an Autist Day, dude. You know what, man? All the autists that I've known, they need a good shoving. You know, give them a good shove. No, I'm kidding. You shouldn't put like him being a 9-year-old boy. It ends there. You know what I mean? Like,
right? Yeah,
autistic is just an extra fucking layer on the sandwich, making this guy look like a total.
I mean, look,
creep.
you got this guy here as a grown man. You have a child.
When he's at a school function in a Hooters t-shirt. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So I mean, like, but at this point, I mean, like, you're towering over this kid. So I just don't even know what the threat you would credibly say you felt. Okay, so the kid's kind of like bowing up to him. Okay, so the video was released by Fresno Unified and Fresno Police and blurred to protect the identity of minors. Okay. So I don't know what he's saying, but I guess the kid put his hand in his face. Ryan Volhart resigned from Walters Elementary School in Fresno after an investigation and faced the charge of willful cruelty to a minor. So you see him approach him again. I guess he's putting his finger near his face, but if you understand these special needs, I mean, like, you know, I wouldn't really take it personally.
Damn. Whoa, bro.
I mean, he full on shoved him too. Like, see, I've seen shit like this before where it's like, you know, maybe the kids are fighting and the principal pulls them apart and it's like, you know, someone, you know, they're trying to help or they're trying to.
That. Yeah, this. He gives him a full, like, he manhandles him literally.
Yeah.
Like he weighs 150 pounds more than he does.
I mean, look, he's here. I mean, there's at least probably a couple feet here. So you push this kid like 5 or 6 feet at least.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't do that unless you really fucking manhandle somebody.
Is there audio to this?
I wish there was.
Okay,
there's not. Probably because
it's just surveillance video.
Yeah, he's saying some shit.
Yeah, so what did the kid said some shit to him, and this is how he responds.
Yep, that is how he responded. Now, there's some articles about, so let's see.
He shouldn't be a fucking principal, for sure. I mean, if you're that on the edge, you can't take a little shit talk from an autistic kid, you shouldn't be the principal of anything.
Oh, here's the Fresno Bee. So, yeah, here they must have.
The good old bee.
Of course, California. Aftershocks reverberated around Fresno schools this week following the release of a disturbing video showing a former elementary school principal striking a student with special needs. Fucking moron, dude. Ryan Volhart, now a former principal of Walters Elementary School in Fresno, has been charged with a single misdemeanor count of child abuse in connection with the June 7th incident that was caught on camera. And thank God it was, because I'll tell you what, this guy probably would have got a fucking way with it if he hadn't been.
Oh yeah, if this wasn't on video, this would be squashed for sure.
It says Fresno Unified officials have said the student is physically okay and received the necessary social, emotional support from the district. The explosive video and subsequent acknowledgement of missteps by Fresno police emerged Thursday during a Fresno Unified news conference called in response to an investigation by the Fresno Bee's education lab. So good job to the Fresno Bee who actually broke this story. It wasn't like these cocksuckers came forward voluntarily. They had to be investigated by this paper. So honestly, I'm glad to give them credit for it. During the news conference, Police Chief Paco Valderrama said he wasn't aware of the 3-month video until Tuesday, which is shocking because a grown man assaulted a child or battered them or whatever you want to call it, after a Fresno Bee reporter requested an update on the investigation. I had seen, whatever. You haven't seen the fucking video. Prosecutors filed misdemeanor charges against Voldhart the next day, officials have confirmed. So bullshit, they hadn't seen it. Like, they were hoping this was going to get buried and go away.
Yeah, I mean, principals are not super high on the upper management totem pole, but they are like the bottom layer of that, and so they definitely do get shielded by a lot of the same good old boys network, but only to a point.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And in this case, like, just looking at that, there's no excuse for what happened, so he's got to go. Like, anybody that's got impulse control that bad, you know what I mean, and is violent to that extent with a child, there's no fucking way they should be.
Oh my God, listen to
100 feet
this.
of a school.
But Fresno police were the only ones facing scrutiny in the wake of a shocking video. Questions lingered Friday over how Voldhart managed to get a vice principal job at another Fresno County school just 2 months after the June 7th incident.
I wonder how. Come on.
Yeah, this is like the priest diddles the kids and he gets moved to the next parish. Come on. Gold Plans Unified mostly silent on Voldhart hiring. Voldhart resigned from the Fresno Unified School District on August 4th, almost 2 months after he struck the young black student who has been, oh my gosh, it gets worse. He was hired 11 days later as vice principal of Tranquility. What an ironic name that is, considering how he is. High school at a salary of $104,000 a year. Gold Plan Superintendent Martin Macias told the Ed Lab on Friday. But those were the only 2 questions Macias was willing to discuss directly.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way. There's no way this dude, he should never work in an educational setting with children ever again. And possibly even with adults, like at the college level, he shouldn't be. Like, anybody that's got impulse control problems of impulse control and violence shouldn't be within fucking 1,000 feet of a school.
Yeah, the kid pushed him a little, but it's still not. I mean, there's no justification. I mean, it wasn't like if the kid was like 6'3" and was like trying to attack him and hurt him, I mean, maybe then it could be a credible argument for self-defense. Like, wasn't self-defense. This was
self-defense from a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
You know,
this
what I mean?
was anger. His audio shared. There's no audio for that video. I guess it's probably a little late to tell you that, but yeah, there was no audio for that video.
Right.
It's unclear whether the district conducted any background checks. Fresno United School District Superintendent Bob Nelson said he doesn't believe Golden Plains ever contacted Fresno schools to check Volhart's references. Yeah, he's already in the system. It's like, whatever, you're good.
But you know what, dude? I'll tell you what. Good, bad, right, or wrong, I bet that autistic kid doesn't get in the fucking principal's face ever again.
Probably not. And the last thing I have is this crazy kind of public freak out mixed with idiots in cars. Kind of hybrid. This woman is insane. I'll just say this: if I ever see someone like this, I'm driving the other direction. Like, I'm doing a U-turn. Whatever I need to do to get away, I'm doing it.
Let's see.
Okay, let's make sure at the beginning.
What did she throw in there?
Like a drink of some kind. She's losing her mind, and she can't.
No fucking way she just did that, bro. No way. No way.
She
These
just
guys just think
fucking
it's
did
funny. I
Yeah,
mean,
these
luckily
Zoomers-
they're not crazy, and they're not beating the shit out of her or doing some crazy in response.
Oh shit! Oh hell no! Oh hell no!
Like, no, we're driving around. So the crazy thing with most of these is by this point, this encounter's over, right?
Yeah, yeah. I can imagine that something like, you know, the first part of this video is pretty common. Probably happens 8 or 10 times every fucking day in the country.
Oh yeah, but no, nothing in there.
So they're in like a chase with her now.
Oh, that's crazy! Oh shit! No way! No way! No way! No way! No way! No way! No way!
She's not getting rear-ended.
No way! No way! No way! No way! No way!
So they're trying to move away from her. She's backing into them, trying to.
She's trying to cause an accident.
Go that way. Go straight? Yeah.
Let's go away from her. Yeah, she's gonna go that way. But she's
Oh,
not over.
shit.
Nope.
Yeah.
She's not over it yet.
She's wild. I should let her tap me though, huh?
For the culture, you know, for the culture.
Nah, I ain't for because your hit is on. No, she's coming after. No way. No way.
She's literally driving on someone's lawn now.
Hell nah. Dude,
You are something
hell
else.
no, bro. I letting her hit me. Oh, fuck.
No, at this point, I almost think you can argue these guys are really. I mean, they're enjoying this clearly.
They're just as much as at fault for escalating this as the woman is. They're, you know what I mean? They're fucking with her. They're following her around and shit. It makes no sense.
Yeah, so like it's basically dumbasses on parade.
Hell no. I ain't letting her hit me at all, bro. She's insane.
Yeah, dude, but you could drive away. There's nothing to stop you from driving the other direction.
I got in the ditch, bro. I got in the ditch. I had to help us find this lady. She needs to pay me for my damages, bro. Look, she's stopping again. Oh,
Or she is. She's not
good.
done.
Oh, look at her. Look at her. She's not done. Yo, why? Damn,
Just drive away, turn around.
Go this way.
Yeah, see that dude's like, yeah, just go the other way.
Bro.
But she's gonna have to do a U and all that. We're gonna be
Adios. Tell her bye.
That's all it is.
Damn.
I just can't believe some people would take the fucking road rage that. I mean, like, that's like, see, like, even if I've ever been pissed off at someone on the road, it usually just like ends with them like driving away or I drive away. It's like I don't keep following them, and you know, like I don't know what good is gonna come of that. Like two people that are raging out at each other are gonna meet up, and then I mean, it's definitely gonna come to blows.
I'll like cuss at a person and shit from my car, like not with the, you know, I don't roll the window down and try and start an altercation, but I'll just call people fucking idiots while I'm driving all the time.
Well, yeah, I think everyone does that to a degree. Like,
but I can't imagine it escalating to that point. You know, I can't imagine getting into like a vehicular tag match with somebody because I was so mad at them. Like I got shit
some
to
people
do.
will,
Like,
man.
I got places to be. You know what I mean?
That's always looking at it too. It's like I want to go somewhere. Like if I'm driving, like I have a destination in mind. My destination is not to like fuck with you and fight with you, or like even if I thought I could win, even if I thought like it would just totally come out in my favor, like 100%. It's like, what am I proving? You know, like, and I'm definitely someone that's been a hothead in the past with that shit. Like, but I've definitely tried to like I try to just, I always just tell Taylor, like, man, I'm just gonna go away. Like, I don't even want to fuck with that person. Like, because in the past, I definitely would have. I don't think I would have gone as far as these guys to follow somebody and like keep egging them on. But I think when I flip people out, like, fuck you, motherfucker, you know, had an exchange with them, you know, and then I had some Christian trying to get out of her car, and I was like, what are you doing? I had to just I literally just left that one. I'm like, I don't want to fight you. I do want to have an altercation with you, but I'm not interested in fighting anybody. Like, I don't know.
Did I had something like that happen? I had one rage beast, and I honestly don't even know what I did. I was driving on Highway 99 in Central California. This was years ago, like 12, 13 years ago, something like that. And my now ex-wife was up with her family somewhere up in the mountains near LA.
Oh, okay.
And I was driving to get her because she was sick. She wanted to come home. So I was on in the middle of the fucking night. I'm on the freeway heading on what was, you know, going to be like a 6.5 hour one-way drive. And then you got to double it. Got to turn around and do it again. So I was not, I wasn't super happy, but I was just driving. And at some point, somebody behind me started like flashing their high beams at me and shit. And it was this little like Ford Probe looking car. And, so I was in the fast lane, and he would like take any opportunity he could to like get in the slow lane and get around in front of me and then start brake checking me and shit. He did this for miles. And I have no fucking clue what I did to set him off or whatever. I actually thought about it, and I was like, what if this is like that horror story where there's somebody crouched in the back seat?
Oh, shit.
You know? And they're trying to fucking tell you that there's a dude with a knife in your back seat or something.
Yeah, like, oh.
You know, I could see back there. There wasn't shit back there. So I don't know what I did to this dude, but eventually he pulled off, got off on an exit. But it was probably like 10 or 20 miles that this guy, just kept like getting behind me, flashing high beams, then pulling up next to me and keeping pace with me, and then going in front and brake checking me and shit. Like, what the fuck?
there was probably something that you did that even if you didn't do it, this person probably interpreted that way.
Yeah,
like,
maybe I like pulled out in front of him when I changed lanes or something, and he had to get on the brakes or whatever. Like
yeah,
that's
you
the
weren't
only
going
thing I can
fast
think.
enough. Some
Yeah.
shit. Oh, dude, I've seen people lose their minds over bullshit, dude. Like I've literally seen people just lose their minds over someone like they didn't turn fast enough, so someone's just like because they're late or something. So it's like, you know, like literally someone will be late, but then they'll want to have a 30-minute confrontation with somebody because they're really just mad at themselves.
Right.
They're mad at themselves for being late. Then it goes on you. So it's like you just did whatever your slight was. Obviously to you, it's like you don't fucking know. You're just trying to get to this fucking place to pick up your fucking ex-wife. You don't give a fuck. You're not even worried about anyone else. But this motherfucker was worried.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
Well, is that a grease trap, Scotty? What do you think?
I'd say so.
All right. It's been greasy. It's been trappy. Thank you for being patrons.
Thanks,
we
guys.
will see you guys on Wednesday with some onion nuggets goodness with Scooter and the Hog. Hope to see you there.